The Titanomachy, or war between the gods and the Titans, was one of the most epic conflicts in all of Greek mythology. And if you want to hear about it, then let's get into it. After overthrowing his father, Uranus, Cronus ruled over the cosmos with an iron fist. He made the earth shake with the stomp of his feet. He cracked the sky with the thunder of his voice, and he created monsters to terrorize mortals for fun. Sure, there were some good things about Cronus's rule, like when he created mankind. But that was more of a side quest than anything. His main goal was to keep himself in power. Now, prophecy had told him long ago that he would be overthrown by one of his children, just like how he had overthrown his father before him. So to prevent this from happening, Cronus did something truly messed up. Every time his wife, Rhea, gave birth to one of their children, he would eat them. Yeah, that is some cold-blooded, parenting right there. But hey, at least he was consistent about it. The only child that Rhea and Cronus didn't devour was their youngest son, Zeus, because she substituted him with a rock swaddled up to look like a baby. Then she took the real Zeus to a cave on the side of Mount Selene and raised him in secret. As Zeus grew older, he became more and more powerful, but also more and more vengeful towards his father. Zeus knew what Cronus had done to his siblings, and he wanted revenge. But to do that, he needed to get his siblings out of Cronus's stomach. Now, according to Hesiod, Zeus went to the god Hermes and told him to invent wine so that he could use it to trick his father. Or, according to Homer, Zeus traveled to the Caucasus Mountains and made friends with some giants who helped him forge a sickle made of diamond. Either way, Zeus returned to his birthplace of Mount Olympus, where his 5 siblings were being held captive, and freed them. Okay, time for a quick recap. Cronus ate his children because he was afraid that they would usurp him. That's why he was so surprised when he felt a sharp pain in his stomach one day and brought up blood and pieces of flesh. Turns out that was Zeus using his newly forged sickle to free his siblings from their prison. But even though Zeus saved his brothers and sisters, they weren't exactly prepared for what came next. To be fair, they had just been freed from a dark, dank dungeon and had no idea what was going on. Also, they were half immortal and half mortal, which made them weaker than the full-blown immortal gods like Hades. Poseidon and Hera, they needed time to train and learn how to control their powers. But Zeus wasn't willing to wait. He was too scared that their father would find them and devour them. So instead of letting his siblings train, Zeus marched them all the way to Mount Othrys, where their father lived, and initiated a full-blown assault. What happened next has become known as the Titanomachy, or War of the Gods and the Titans. As the name implies, the war was fought between 2 teams, the gods and the Titans. The gods were led by Zeus and fought from atop Mount Olympus, while the Titans were led by their father Cronus and fought from atop Mount Othrys. Both mountains are real places located in Greece. They are 45 miles apart from each other, but only a fool would measure the distance between them in miles. If you really want to know how far apart they are, you gotta do it in terms of Jason and the Argonauts. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. The war between the gods and the Titans raged for 10 years with neither side able to defeat the other. The gods couldn't bring themselves to kill their own family members, which made them hesitant to fight. And the Titans couldn't bring themselves to fight against their own children, which made them exhausted. It wasn't until Gaia, the personification of the earth, begged her children, the Titans, to stop fighting and to go back to ruling the cosmos alongside the gods that the conflict finally came to a halt. But not everyone was happy with this outcome. Cronus, in particular, was fuming. He didn't want to share power with his children. He wanted all of it. So the war started back up the next day, except this time it was a lot more intense. Monsters and giants got involved. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions shook the earth. Lightning bolts and thunderclaps rattled the sky. Rivers changed their courses and the sea overflowed its banks. The forces of nature were going wild. But it was actually Gaia who tipped the scales in the gods' favor. After all, she was the mother of both teams. And even though she loved her children, the Titans, she loved her grandchildren, the gods, just as much. So she reached down from the sky and split open the earth, which unleashed a race of monstrous creatures called the Gigantomachy. These creatures were incredibly strong and almost defeated the gods if it hadn't been for Athena, who created the olive tree as a symbol of peace and persuaded the giants to choose that as their leader. The gods attacked and killed every single giant except for one, Typhon, who was so huge and terrifying that all the gods fled from him. Only Zeus was willing to face him, and after a fierce battle, he defeated Typhon by hurling a lightning bolt down his throat. With their biggest champion defeated, the remaining giants fled to Mount Othrys, where the rest of the Titans were waiting. But the second that they set foot on the mountain, Gaia trapped them inside by splitting the earth and creating the cavernous prison of Tartarus. Then she healed the wounds of the gods, gave them ambrosia and nectar to regain their strength, and bestowed upon them divine weapons crafted by Hephaestus. Now refreshed and ready for battle, the gods returned to Mount Olympus and charged down the slopes of Mount Othrys, where the Titans were waiting. One by one, the gods defeated the Titans and hurled them into Tartarus. Atlas, who was Cronus's brother, tried to flee, but Gaia stopped him by transforming him into a mountain range. And Cronus himself tried to escape by shape-shifting into a horse, but Zeus stopped him by hurling a lightning bolt straight through his chest. With the Titans defeated, Zeus was declared the winner of the Titanomachy and was crowned the king of the cosmos. Now, this was a big deal. Not only did it fulfill the prophecy that Cronus had always feared, but it also marked the end of the first Greek age, the time of the Titans and the beginning of the second, the age of the gods. The Greeks believed that during the time of the Titans, the world was perfect. Everything was exactly how it should be and life was pleasant, but after the Titanomachy, everything changed. The world was in chaos. Heroes were dying, monsters were rampaging, and mortals had to live in fear of the gods. Basically, the age of the gods was a lot more exciting, but it wasn't exactly a walk in the park either. For more about how the age of the gods got started, click here to watch our series on the 12 labors of Hercules, starting with his very first labor, slaying the Nemean lion. And for more about how the age of the Titans began, click here to watch our series on the 5 Greek myths you never learned about in school. As always, if you're enjoying our content, please don't forget to show your support. It really helps us grow. Thanks for watching. See you next time.